Welcome to You Are Your Name. I'm Daken Ariel, your host, and I have a co-host here, Marlowe Shearing, who's actually our guest as well. So welcome, Marlowe. Thank you for taking this podcast topic.
Thank you for having me.
So the topic is mental freedom. One of our bylines in the Keplerian philosophy is that we teach the principles of mental freedom. So let's start there, Marlowe. What is mental freedom?
When we think about mental freedom, we think of those two words, mental being the quality of our thinking or the quality of our mind, the creativity of our mind. And then that word freedom says that we're going to create an opportunity for that mind. And so the Keplerian philosophy teaches the mathematical principle, the principle of 1 to 9, and how those energies of life can be measured through mathematics and be understood, and that all expression or understanding in life comes through language. And man uses language to express intelligence, which is what man should become. And so what is the closest part of language to each individual? And that is their name. So the principle of mental freedom first requires that balanced name. And that balanced name then creates what we would call a channel. And that channel then is an opportunity for that mind to be able to become an expression of the higher energies of life, relative to thinking and relative to that growth of mind. Mental freedom is when man can create his thinking through his mind and not translate feeling into thinking.
So there is the phrase that we use, mental individuality. How does individuality relate to mental freedom?
Individuality is a quality that is not relative to the feeling. And people can look at mental individuality that I do my own thing. We're referring to an individuality of mind that creates a mind that can live above feeling. Again, not translating feelings into what they think is thought, but creating that individuality relative to their purpose in life and their birth path quality, and then being able to express truth into life. And so that mental individuality is a quality that is studied and developed through the principles of the Keplerian philosophy. And we teach the mathematical principle as the first step, balance your name. And then those same studies go through the cyclic law and then healthy living, because we need that fit instrument so that the mind has a body that is quick and able to respond to the thinking. And then that next course, How to Be Mentally Free, is dealing with the individuality of mind. And we teach that man can either live in the sea of emotions that come on the news or come through social media, or he can grow his mind through thinking, self-discipline, refinement, and standards of mind to develop an ability to live then above feeling. And that is where we say that individuality comes from, where we have progressed according to principle. And those principles that are taught in the Keplerian philosophy are easily studied and understood. And then to live them just requires what we would call self-discipline, that once we recognize the truth, then we can start to implement and change that quality of response to feeling to instead creative thinking, individuality of mind, or mental freedom. And that man has that choice. if man is to be the steward of the earth, then he is to add this intelligence into the finite plane.
So you would say that mental freedom is a term that represents growth in mind to an ability to express the higher qualities of intelligence. I want to get back to mathematics, which you talked about earlier. I had an interesting quote here from a couple of scientists. One of them is from Galileo, which his quote was, "To measure is to know." He's pretty well the father of modern physics and observational astronomy. And the other one, which was Lord Kelvin, which I thought was very good. When you can measure what you are speaking about and express it in numbers, you know something about it. And he's famous for making measurements the backbone of physics and turning theory into precise, usable science. Because we have the mathematical principle and we apply it to mind, that is a key to understanding mental freedom, because you can now measure qualities of intelligence more precisely. You look at all the different qualities of mind, and they're all encompassed within the mathematical principle of 1 to 9. In addition, we study the law of duality within those mental qualities. So that means a quality can express constructively if the mind is balanced, or it can express destructively if the mind is mathematically unbalanced or emotional. So, question for you, Marlowe. Could someone become mentally free without using these two principles, the mathematical principle of mind and the principle of duality?
No, because when you stand back, those quotes that you just mentioned, and there's another one, mathematics is the pathway to God, that we live in a world that is vast, but everything in life is mathematical. And so, as we said, the principle of 1 to 9, those are energies of life. And so those are recognized qualities that then the mind can use those energies. And those energies, when they're understood and directed and used by the mind, then that mind is lifted upwards. And so we go through that mathematical principle once again. We say that one can be stubborn, belligerent, or it can become individual, and there's a creative quality. And so that shows that mental individuality or that freedom of mind. One is a response to feeling, and the other is a choice of thinking. And again, it starts by balancing the mind, but then there are so many decisions that we make throughout the day, that choice of response or that choice of decision. And the decision takes that pause or that quality of lifting to those energies of intelligence and choosing that. And the understanding of being able to change your thinking without a balanced name is erroneous as well, because then that mind is drawing from the energies of that unbalanced quality of thinking. And so they're unable to choose or to make that determination of feeling versus thinking, because their mind is embroiled in that energy of thinking. They are their name. And so that Frank 145 feels that independence and that urge for individuality, and they're not going to be cornered. So the response is automatic relative to that name. When we take a balanced name, we're allowing the opportunity of choosing, of choice, of thinking, of taking a deep breath and drawing from that positive energy. And so that mathematical principle is the basis of the energies of mind. And those energies then are understood, and those energies are also drawn in through our thinking so that they become a part of us. As we live through our cycles, we go to that one cycle and we become much more cognizant of that energy of individuality, because it is there within our being as we are living through that cycle.
We do teach that name creates the basic pattern of mind, and the birth path, which is inner potentials measured through the birth date. And a balanced name allows that channel. But even with a balanced name, you're going to go through different cycles where there may be experiences that you react emotionally. So mental freedom is to be able to handle every experience without the ups and downs of emotion, creating instability in your thinking.
Yes, and life is growth and life should be progressive. And so, a young person, they feel so strongly, translate it into I think and I know. And then it takes that measured quality of discipline, of creating perspective, creating objectivity. And so each cycle that we go through, each situation in life that we live, we are trying to bring this perspective of standing with our mind objectively and looking at the situation without feeling.
So you've defined mental freedom and you've talked a little bit about individuality. And the balanced name is a basis for establishing that link with the inner potential. Why should they put forth effort to create mental freedom?
Life should be a process of growth, and growth should be towards opportunity. And there are problems with people becoming involved in feeling because then their lives can become smaller. The reason that we teach the principles of mental freedom as a slogan is because that mental freedom brings big opportunity. And those big opportunities are that thinking is such a key to be able to use your mind creatively. And Mr. Parker, the founder of Capitalism philosophy, taught that mind is the greatest power in the universe. And those are just words. But as we use our mind, we see more and more the ability of mind to be able to reach out. And then we see dimensions. And so it's like looking at the world and it's flat. And then someone discovers, no. And the picture becomes bigger and bigger until you look at the cosmos that we have today. And that's how it is when we study these principles of mind, that our thinking has more and more facets of understanding, and the world becomes technicolor because there's opportunity. And the expansion is what will bring that mental freedom. But it comes through each individual's efforts of discipline, of first changing their name, learning the principles, learning to understand those qualities, learning them to incorporate those qualities into their life, into their thinking, and then trying to lift their mind to see objectively a purpose and link that purpose to a goal or an ideal. And then we work through constructive thinking to try to build a life that's going to add to man's ability to have a greater opportunity beyond feeling and suffering and divorces and situations that are just mundane, really, in the bigness of life, to add something.
Someone who's mentally free is able to be happy all the time. It's not a silly grin on their face, but basically their thinking is not depressed. It doesn't get self-conscious. There's a balance to their life that creates a greater accomplishment and attainment. Mental freedom really is an advanced version of mental balance. And so you have to know the principles of mind, what creates mind, and how to actually balance the mind, and then understand the cycles and, as you say, the physical and mental laws that create greater and greater harmony.
This concept of mental freedom, we're talking about the opportunity to flow energy through our mind that is of our conscious creation. And so it's not a mind that is learning from books and then absorbing facts and being able to repeat those facts. We're talking about a mind that is able to discern the difference between feeling and thinking, absorb energies or qualities of energy relative to the mathematical principle of 1 to 9, incorporate principles and understand laws of life, that then their mind can focus and express qualities of individuality that has such a great opportunity. And as Daken just mentioned, it's measured through that quality of happiness, where that mind is lifted then above feeling, and they determine through their own thinking what the opportunities are in life. And there's always a smile and an objectivity and a recognition that this too can be understood and put into a place and not something to dwell or worry about. And that's such an opportunity for mind, because then tomorrow is a bigger and better day.
That concludes our first episode on mental freedom. We'll be back for 3 more to explore different aspects of it. So hopefully we'll see you next week. Until then, happy thoughts.
Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways we can help you. Number 1, the Balanced Name Recommendation Service. Join the thousands of others who have harmonized their names with their inner potential to improve their health, happiness, and success. Number 2, learn the principles of mental freedom. Participate in our online training program to gain the essential tools to create all the progressive changes you seek in your life. These proven truths will open up new perspectives and accelerate your attainment of health, happiness, and success. Number 3, let Kalex Solutions help you choose a balanced name for your business, because many business names are an impediment to one's overall business success.